Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The information here is strictly for educational purposes only and is not a recommendation to trade. You are solely responsible for your own trading actions. No members of DSC Capital were harmed in the making of this video.
Hello, traders. Welcome back to Nostradamus. This is Lord Sean Connery. I'm here with my friend Mohammed,
What's up,
and
everybody?
we are here. We're here to bring you the outlook of what we think may or may not happen in the crude oil markets for this upcoming week. For viewers who actually saw our last week's video with our ridiculous thumbnail for the mega reversal, I gotta admit, even Mohammed and I were fucking shocked at how far this thing ran. Just really quickly, we didn't think it was going to go beyond 59. We actually thought this was just going to snap back to the 58, 59 area and just take a chill pill and relax. But we had the SPR saying, we're going to buy some fucking barrels of oil, 1 million barrels. We had some tensions with Ukraine, Russia, and this just fucking kept going. Like this was the mega reversal, which was actually pretty fucking cool. So anyways, if you're viewing this video right now, make sure to check back our previous videos on, what our outlook was and how things played out. Anyways, we are here to now talk about what the fuck is going to go on for this week, especially with all this goddamn news driven shit that has just sent the markets, up, 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 up. Like if you're holding, putting a bid in for your order to get filled in, you can see it just run away and head $1 higher. It's like you're sitting there with your dick in your head and waiting for action. Oh man, it was pretty challenging, I must say. So anyways, what we have is the overall composite chart. This is the daily session, correct? Cool. All right. So along with that mega reversal, we talked about we had the Monday shift to neutral, and then it just went and it ripped right beyond our expectation. We ended the week, close to the highs. And I see what you have marked there. You have that ticking of that 62 area. That's a very interesting area from last week. That was a really nice area that was shortable. Now we're here. So the question is, what the fuck are we gonna do? From an objective analysis, we're one time framing up on both the full session and the RTH. On the RTH, we have a massive fucking gap zone on the 10th of October. So for all you people that just watched the RTH action, yeah, big gap zone. And if we could hold that for higher, great. If we start to, dip our toes into it, that fucker might fill, and it might fill quick because it doesn't have a lot of volume that's actually supporting that area. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about some scenarios. Mohammed, I'll let you key off on the primary. I want to see what you have to say. Like, what are your thoughts on what crude might do for a primary scenario here?
So just kind of touching up a little bit on last week, which would kind of is going to help me lead to my scenario. Last week, we kind of had this break from this 3-day balance, like Rob said. This move on, I believe it was on Monday, pretty much unexpected because we thought that Friday's low would hold. Didn't quite do that. Instead, it sort of rebounded and then held and then headed higher. But the thing uh, that's pretty interesting is this high that we made. So we kind of, wait, let's change that. So this high we made, it poked this prior swing high by a few ticks, and that's pretty much very interesting because now what it looks like is there was a slight higher high, and that's like a very nuanced sort of subtle detail. But we have this slight higher high. We are now back above this LVN. And another thing on the weekly, so let me just change this. Another thing on this weekly chart. So last week we had this VPOC, which we left behind. There was also another news driven event. We had this VPOC we left behind, and now the market is trading above it. So for my primary scenario, what I'm gonna be watching for, just based on the fact that one, we have this key break, we're back above this low volume node, and we're back above that VPOC from 2 weeks ago. One of my scenarios is gonna be watch for any sort of move to the downside. Now, for the pullback lower, there's a few spots where I think a turn may happen. And because of that, I think it may be best to wait for a little bit of information to develop, just because, I mean, if I pop back up on this chart and we take a look. So the first spot that I think this may or may not turn is one, you have this VPOC. So the fact that we are now back above it, does the market hold that VPOC? That's the first spot. The second spot is going to be anywhere really within this low volume node. From 2 weeks ago, we made a video. This low volume node was a key area where we got in a pretty great short against it and it went lower. So maybe it's just the same thing, but now we're trading it from above. And then the third spot I'm paying attention to is also the prior weekly high. So for the downside, for like a pullback, a few key spots to pay attention to for any sort of pullback to the downside. So whether that's down here or it's a much shallow pullback, but watch for a pullback for this to ultimately head higher. We would hopefully break through this VPOC. So this VPOC has been a bit of a struggle in the past, where we pretty much right over here, where we struggled to break it, but now that we're back over here, I would like to see this, if it is going to continue higher, break through. And if that is the case, I would pretty much watch for the market to return to this sort of value area high of this upper distribution. Let me just fix that. So that's my primary scenario. Primary pullback to one of these key reference points for a move that heads higher and just trades right to the value area high of this distribution. And then from here, it may just honestly start to trade sideways, pretty much just coming back in this upper distribution. So that's my primary scenario. Do you want me to get in the secondary, or do you want to add on the primary?
Um, I mean, the primary looks fine. I like how you set up some various spots, and your pullback spots shut down the full session time framing, but that's not necessarily a deal breaker, right? For you,
Yeah,
like it
no,
just because it shuts it down doesn't mean that we're kind of fucked up shit creek without a paddle regarding the long side. I mean, this is the natural process of the auction. We come into this area and we hit this big HVN, we're going to test the one side of balance, which is down to those 60s. And then if it chooses to turn there and we head back on up to the 62.45, that huge HVN, that VPOC, we could go right to the other side and test way up to 64. And fuck, maybe this thing even goes higher. And then after it tests the other side, the nature of the market, not pending any crazy fucking news, is we're just going to come right back and chill on out, because this is an area that was very heavily traded and found a lot of value, and I don't think a lot of traders or outfits are going to see oil go beyond this area, unless again there's news. So I like the overall primary scenario. So yeah, and even if we do lose full session time framing for a day, we could easily just pick it right back on up. It's not like like a deal breaker. So
right. And
yeah, no, I
then
like that.
also on the, so what would be nice about the sort of deeper pullback is if we can fill this RTH gap. Let me just make this line straight. If we can fill that RTH gap, hold it, then that, and like we can see some sort of reaction where buyers are stepping back in, that's also another sign for higher. And that all falls in line with this area. It seems like this sort of large zone, let me actually uh, see what that area is. So anywhere between, I want to say 60 80s down to 59 70s, that looks like a key area where we may see uh, where we may see some sort of buyers step up for the pullback for higher. And then for the short, I mean, why don't you share your short scenario, because you did have a few different variants of it. So why don't you share that? Do you want this chart or do you want to?
This chart's perfectly
Okay,
fine.
cool.
Yeah, this chart's fine. So, we want to put out two scenarios. One is the to go higher. The one is to go, back down. Um, all of this action was driven by news. Same thing as the action from the few weeks ago that actually drove the market down. So market got driven down on news, market got driven up on news. There's a weekend meeting between the U.S. and China regarding maybe some trade agreements. There could be stuff going on in Russia. Everything that's going to drive this up or down. That's the tough part, is the news aspect. But I mean, we had such a run up right through that LVN based on news. I think, with removing news from the equation, those areas are going to want to be retested. And like in an alternate scenario, again, we're one time framing up. That's the key thing. But Friday's action to me lost a little steam, just slightly. We overall made a higher high against Thursday, but the way that the full session open and close formed, it looked to me that again, we're building value, VPOC higher, but it seemed like there might have been a little bit of a stall. And just like you noted how we made the new highs by a few ticks, like the old highs were at 62.34 or maybe at 62.47 that you noticed, but 62.59 was that new high, and it tested it and it just kind of fell off there. And for me, that looked like the market kind of started to run out of gas. And if it's out of gas, one scenario for me is we have to do two things. We have to shift this market neutral intraday in the full session, not just the RTH. We have to do it in the full session. So 61.21 needs to be taken out. Also, we need to not form a new high on Friday against Friday, which is at 62.59. Now, whatever order we do that is independent. Either we attempt to go higher and we fail to do so, come back in, take out that full session low at 61.21, and then that right there is one key piece of evidence. Like, okay, you know what, this motherfucker's starting to tire out. It's like I don't need to make an analogy just yet. I just kind of just go with this.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to look for. Or we could shift the time framing neutral first and then attempt that high, and then again come back in and start to form up some sort of tiring balance. So it's either going to pop the lows at 61.21 and then try to attempt the high to regain confidence and not do it. That's the first shot across the bow. Or it's going to do it the other way. It's going to attempt the highs, crush through 61.21. It's not like it's going to lose its asshole right there, although it could, because there's a lot of thinness in the profile that's around like 61.21, even down to 61.11. That could be eaten really quick. But that's the first sign I'm going to look at. And once that happens, and then if we see like another attempt to try to get back up and just fail, this fucker's going to probably go down and zap right through that RTH gap. So the RTH gap was formed, in one night. And does it have to be tested in the RTH session to fill? Yes and no. But if it's going to go in there, it's going to just jam it on through, in my opinion. It'd be nice if it happens in the RTH, so the RTH players could say, oh, yeah, let's mark the gap that's filled. Oh, gee, Willikers. Well, yeah, good for you. Well, who fucking cares? I just want to see if there's an opportunity to catch something here, because my secondary scenario is we've stalled out. Assuming that we don't have any more news that drives us up, and so the market naturally wants to re-auction that, and so we'll have this attempt higher, and we'll start to head on back down. I'm thinking if we break 61.21 and 61.11, the reaction is probably going to be a little quick. and it's not going to offer. I mean, you're going to have to be at the keyboard, licking your chops, waiting for the right signal. It's not going to dip its toes in the RTH gap and fill it over a few days. This is probably going to steamroll
Yeah.
potentially pretty quick. And when it does that, there's two possibilities that can happen. Either it takes a variant of one of your buy scenarios. It comes in and holds that 60 LVN, and it just comes right back up to the 62, 50s area, or it smashes that LVN and tests from below and heads right back down into the 58, that 5820 area, or that 5820, 5850 area, which is where we thought the market was going to take a rest last week. So that is the potential. Um, that is the potential downside scenario. I like that because if and I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen the way it's painted, but it's something that I want to keep an eye on. It's something I want to be mindful about, because if I start to see weakening, and the market putting so much goddamn effort to get, like a little bit higher, we could be overlapping value in VPOC slightly higher, slightly higher, slightly higher, and then eventually all this effort just says, fuck, dude, we're just getting shit. Like fuck this. Let's just liquidate. And then bam, goes to the downside. That's another possibility. I see that as a very that's like a layup if the conditions kind of present themselves. I'm not going to be like trying to short every fucking high and saying this is it. Like no, I need to see some objective evidence and something on the order flow, something that's saying, you know what, I think this has a good chance to take a weekly position. Because otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be gung ho on taking a weekly position this week. I'm probably going to be a scalp whore. So we'll see. But that's the overall secondary that I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think what's nice about your secondary too is that it sort of lines up with the end of the month. I mean, end of month is gonna be
Oh yes, the
Friday.
end of the month.
Yeah. So
Fucking Halloween. Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. I mean, that'd be great. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm not trying to be Nostradamus of the oil markets, even though this fucking, channel's named that. But what
Yeah.
if we get that stall and then the end of month selling? Thank you for reminding me. Holy shit. Yeah. Michael Myers, fucking Freddy Krueger can come out and just rip the shit out of buyers and then just send this fucker down. That is another pressure that we might have to deal with at the end of the month. And that would be great. We might not see fireworks or some crazy move till closer to the end of the week. So that would
Yeah.
be really nice. That's something to keep in mind. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if we're doing nothing but balancing and stalling, that might be a pretty good fucking powder keg to unleash to the upside, to the downside. So very good. Very good to notice that. Hopefully some of our subscribers that are watching here, they know about the whole end of month shenanigans. We'll
Hopefully,
see.
and if they
Yeah.
don't, then you guys could just drop a comment or just ask us, and then we'll tell you. And then another sort of scenario to kind of build off on that short is if we do just continue to run higher for whatever reason, and we approach the value area high towards close till the end of the week, I'll be much more interested in a short for that end of month special to pretty much just start trading either one, we just start trading in between this wide area, or I mean, if end of month is extra special, we get that RTH gap, which
Oh God,
from
that'd be amazing.
yeah, from 60
Yeah.
from
This
64 or
thing
something
runs up
down to
like so.
60s. Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
Please.
be nice.
Yeah,
So
call the broker. Can I have $500 margins so I could short 100 contracts?
yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
So that would just be like another variation of Rob's short. That's like just we just continue to run higher. I don't know if we just do that pretty much on the open, which just continues to move higher. If it is, then I'm more interested in watching the value area high for the short for the end of month, pretty much.
That
Uh,
sounds good. That
yeah,
sounds really good.
I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much all I have to share. Do you have anything else you want to add? Do you want to, I don't know
I
if you
mean,
want to touch up on. what end of month
Not
is just in case?
so the end of month. So one of my mentors that taught me about crude oil is, if there's ever some time periods that you really want to pay attention to, it's the first of the month and the end of the month. So the end of the month is when they're the commercials that have hold their contracts and they've went ahead and they've done the delivery of what they need to. If they have spare contracts, they just let them the fuck go. Now, how they let them go, they either just say fuck it, let's just hit the sell button, or they wait for prices to retrace and they want to get their best fills. But it is a present force that is usually in play, and so there is a bias. Now the only thing is, sometimes in the end of the month when you see selling hit, but like if you see the bids getting smacked but price continues to rise, that's actually a really that's a big takeaway from that. That lets you know that, wow, the bid is actually strong despite the end of month selling that should have occurred. Take a look and see what that might transpire to for the beginning of the month. For the beginning of the month, it's more of, if there's a trend, don't fucking fade it, because you're gonna get your dick cut off. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that's the end of the month special. Um, yeah, there's nothing really much else to say. But other than that, like, again, the reason why Mohammed and I try to run through all these scenarios is we just want to have a plan, basically, to just, if something were to show up and we have planned for it, it's much easier to act upon. We're by no means saying, "Ooh, the market is going to do this or is going to do that," and we don't put out 5 or 6 scenarios and say, "Hey, look, we were right on one of them. Oh yeah, let's pat ourselves on the back and everybody can get on their knees and suck our dicks." Like, no, we're not doing that. Yeah, what we're doing is we're painting out possible scenarios, and then if something really looks good, we take the fucking trade like we've trained for it, and then we go after and get a risk off and see what happens. So that's the name of the game. So,
Yeah. There was a
but
quote,
yeah,
I mean, if I forgot what it was, it's, "If you don't plan to succeed, plan." I forgot what it was. It's like, if you don't plan, then I guess you're setting yourself up for failure. I forgot what it
yeah,
was.
I've heard that quote. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
But I mean, it's also good because when you're planning and like you're kind of dealing with all this intraday stuff, as long as you can have your plan to fall back on, you're gonna. I mean, I guess for me, I would kind of hold through it because I got a target in mind. I'm watching the bigger picture. I had my plan, so I'm really, I'm really cooling through it. It won't bother me. So as look because we planned for it. So as long as you have a plan and you stick by that plan, I mean, that's all you could do pretty much.
yeah,
All right, cool. I think that's all we got. Should I just wrap it up over here?
I think so. Yeah, there's nothing really much else to comment, and we don't want to bore our viewers, and yeah. I don't really know if everybody sits and watches the whole thing, or they might capture some little snippets, or
Yeah.
look for some of the cheeky offensive shit that I say. I didn't really say that much. um, but yeah, that kind of wraps it up for our prep, and now we're going to go ahead and see on what happens on the Sunday Open, if we could notice anything early. But yeah, good luck out there, traders. um, Stick to your rules. Don't uh, don't be fucking stupid out there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
All
Take care, everybody. We'll catch you in next week's video.
right, there you guys.